As a reminder, please mute yourself unless you are presenting or testifying. Good morning. This is a hearing before the Mayor's Office of Consumer Affairs and Licensing. Today is Thursday, March 18th, 2021. With us is Kathleen Joyce, the Executive Director, and Rebecca Fu, the Head of Operations. Calling Rockwood Music Hall, located at 88 Van Ness Street. The request is to maintain and operate the catios of an audio device, 5 widescreen TVs, 2 projectors, disc jockey, dancing by patrons, instrumental music of up to 8 performers, vocal music of up to 8 performers, stages and floor show consisting of comedy, poetry, and readings. The applicant is Rockwood Music Hall LLC. The manager of record is Kenneth Rockwood, who is present on behalf of the applicant.
Good morning, Executive Secretary, Madam Chair, Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, and Miller, 28 State Street, Suite 802 here in Boston. I apologize, I've lost my voice this week from too many night meetings. So my best. With me today is Ken Rockwood from Rockwood Music Hall, as well as Andrew Kaplan, also from Rockwood Music Hall. So this is a live entertainment license so that Ken and Andrew can open a small, intimate concert venue and music hall at 88 Van Ness Street in the Fenway neighborhood. It's located on the backside of the Target building off of Van Ness. Mr. Rockwood has opened and operated a similar establishment in New York City since 2005. He's working to bring something similar here to this venue in Boston and to the Fenway neighborhood. Over the past 15 years plus at this point, the New York City venue has become one of that city's most respected names for finding and booking really the next big thing in music of all genres, from local and international to national artists, many of whom that use Rockwood Music Hall for their first gigs and first performances in the city. And that's the plan here as well. As far as this location is concerned, the venue is proposed to have both a ground floor and mezzanine level, with both seating and standing options available in order to accommodate different types of performances and be flexible for these different types of performances. So the venue as a whole is very small, hence the term intimate. It's only about 1,850 square feet. There's 2 different seating options, as I had mentioned previously. One has seats with 3 total seats and a total occupancy of 93 persons. And the other one is more of a standing option that has a larger occupancy of 120 persons and 27 total seats. As far as the live entertainment license is concerned, as read into the record, this is again a concert venue, so we're seeking a pretty wide variety of entertainment options, including both instrumental and vocal music, disc jockey, dancing by patrons, as well as stage plays, comedians, poetry readings, and things of that nature. It will also have an accompanying non-live entertainment aspect, of course, as well, which would include the typical audio devices, widescreen TVs, and movie projectors, not only to be around on nights when perhaps they don't have an entertainment option, but more so to accompany the entertainment or beyond during breaks and sets and things like that. The proposed hours, Madam Chair, is 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. This is a commercial retail location. There's not many typical residents. It's not a typical residential area. It's on the other side of that from Boylston Street, on the east side of Boylston Street. So we feel this is an ideal location for this type of use and this closing hour. It's on the interior of the block as well, and there's no residential space above this at all. So it's actually below the Target. So there wouldn't be any residences above this venue. We also provided in our submission for today, Madam Chair, a acoustical memo from Sam Burkow from SIA Acoustics. We went through a pretty significant acoustical design and scheme to make sure that this area is kind of a box within a box that isolates any sound so that it doesn't go out into the street. It doesn't go out to, even Target above it. There's an entry vestibule and other things of that nature that we can certainly go through if you'd like, as to the acoustic constraints and mechanisms we're using for this location. Finally, I'll just say that we have actually been in front of the licensing board a few months ago for the liquor license, and I'm happy to report that we now do have the liquor license under control. It has been approved not only by the city, Madam Chair, but also by the ABCC. And finally, I would just like to note that we did present to the Fenway Civic Association in December. A few months ago, they did vote to support this concept at this location, and we did to provide a support letter to you before today's hearing. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Ken, I think I covered everything, but if you'd like to say something, feel free. The floor is yours if you'd like to elaborate on anything I mentioned.
Nick, you did a great job. You covered most of it. I would just like to say that the whole ethos of Rockwood Music Hall is about the musician and the artist. So the goal is to try to start locally and then branch out nationally in terms of booking local artists and having them grow. That's the idea. That's what we accomplished in New York. It's not easy, but it's really a focus on developing artists and artists that can, really have careers in music. So that's the idea and the ethos behind it. That's all I want to say.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rockwood. And just as an aside, I know there's no relation, but I do have Rockwood family members in New York City who are musicians. So your name stuck out to me when we were at the liquor licensing hearing. Because it's not in my world, it's not very common, but could you remind me what we approved for the liquor license? Was it for the whole venue or certain parts of it?
I think it was the whole venue.
Okay.
I think it was the whole venue. There's not much, there's no, we transitioned it to a general on premise. So there's no real back of house here or kitchen. It's really 1,850 square feet is pretty compact. So my recollection was it was the whole venue because frankly, there's really not much, Ken, right? That wouldn't be licensed here.
Right.
There's not really office space or restaurant space, kitchen space, things like that. So
it is the whole of the license premise.
Okay, and my apologies. I just couldn't remember off the top of my head. And I know this is a new concept, which is very exciting. There isn't anything like this. There aren't many things like this in Boston proper. And can you describe for me, build out a little bit for the record, what the public process was? I know you said you met with the Fenway Civic Association, but was there any other public process?
So we did meet with the Fenway Civic Association. We did have discussions with City Councilor Bach's office as well as the mayor's office.
Okay.
But other than that, no. There's again, there's really no, there are no real abutters or residences around here because it's such a commercial building. So when we met with Fenway Civic, they were okay with it, and we had the discussion on the concept and didn't really raise any issues with needing to reach out any further. And in discussions with the council's office and the mayor's office, that's what we heard as well. So
okay, so on the night that you'd be having an event, at what time would the doors be opening? I'm just worried about other events that are going on in that neighborhood at the same time.
Yeah, Ken, I mean, I don't know if you want to handle a little bit more of the details on that. I know, there's no box office, Madam Chair, because of modern technology. Ken isn't proposing to have a box office or anything like that. As people arrive, they would be allowed to enter in a manner kind of similar to a reservation system. So the idea would be that there really wouldn't be any queuing or lines. Again, in theory, Ken can talk about that because I think he uses a similar system in New York City, but there wouldn't be like a similar, in other areas, it wouldn't be a roped off area on the sidewalk or anything. If there was to be one of those types of shows, I know that it would be handled in that type of a way with a roped off area on the sidewalk and monitored by Rockwood security. But Ken, I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit more on the reservation system and how that's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Hopefully, no one knows the post-COVID world just yet, but we're doing mostly advanced ticket sales. So we have the names of people and hopefully things sell more in advance than they have in the past. But to get pre-advance and stagger arrival times, is sort of what we're looking at. And in terms of the show times, right now, sort of thinking of a 7 o'clock show and a 9 o'clock show. But that is sort of to be determined as to how things work. How things. Sometimes there's 3 shows in a night. Sometimes there's 2. Maybe there's less. It all depends on how things are going. But that's the idea.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, again, the capacity is very small. I mean, the total occupancy at its most, I think, is about 120. So the line, if there is any line, it should move pretty quickly. This isn't a 2 or 3. This isn't a 2. This isn't like the Orpheum or
Okay.
one of the other theaters where the Boston Opera House, where you have thousands of people coming in. We're talking about 100 or so people.
Okay.
The hope is that with those two, with that, the small size, as well as Ken said, the reservations and online things like that, people will just be moving in quickly. It's a small venue, so.
Okay. All I ask is that you continue to keep working with the community just to see how this all rolls out. Some of the, as you know, like in that neighborhood, some of the sound issues become a big deal with the outdoor venues and stuff. And I don't expect this to contribute to that, but just to be cognizant of, it is a neighborhood, and we'd now be adding another sort of entertainment venue there, and it's brand new. So I would just be keeping I would just want to be keeping aware of some of the issues with the neighborhoods there.
Yeah.
Did anything like that come up at the community meeting?
It came up as a talking point, not as an issue or a concern. I mean, based on what we just told you, the security measures and the reservation system, as well as the size of the venue, they were generally supportive. They were just basic questions about the queuing and the noise, and the answers were the same that we just gave you. I mean, it is a few blocks away from Fenway. It's not necessarily on top of it. I mean, it's down Van Ness by about 2 blocks. I mean, and frankly, a Red Sox game's at 7:05 usually. Again, maybe 6 o'clock if it's an earlier game and earlier in the season. They're going to be running at a lot less capacity, at least this year. There won't be, if there's a 7 o'clock and a 9 o'clock show, the 7 o'clock show would be starting at about the same time. And baseball games are 3 hours long around. So the 9 o'clock show, if there is a 9 o'clock show, that would be going, it would be emptying out and coming in while people are still at the game. So, I don't think there'll be a lot of, if that's what your question is because of Fenway, then, I don't know if there'll be a lot of overlap.
Okay. And I think you mentioned in your testimony that it would be, the security would be employees of Rockwood Entertainment. Is that correct? Or would you be hiring an outside security team?
Ken, I don't know if you want to handle that one.
Sure. I think in the past, for New York, I've hired an external security team. And I think in Boston and in New York, I'm changing that to make them employees.
Okay.
They'll be licensed and all that, but I will know them very well. And I think the key to this, I know people are concerned about lines and everything, but the real key to keeping the neighborhood and community not disrupted is people lingering. Like when people leave a show, suddenly they're standing there, and the security is really good at dispersing. So there's no noise from just crowds talking in front of the space.
Okay. So as far as that, we would like for you to submit in writing a security plan for us to have on file, as far as manning the doors, but also how you're going to be, because alcohol is going to be sold. Is this only for over 21, or are you allowing people in under 21?
Mostly over 21. If we have any shows that are under, they're non-alcoholic, and they're usually early.
Okay. And then, so if you could include in that security plan what your dispersal plan is when the show gets out. Is there one entrance, one exit? We just like to have that on file and to refer to that should there be some sort of inspection or complaint.
Okay.
I don't think I have any further questions. Can I just turn to Rebecca in my office and Leslie to see if I missed anything? And then we can go to other people who might be here.
I think from my perspective, you covered it. Becca?
You basically covered everything. You went through the capacity really quickly, and I might have missed this. Is this multiple floors or just one floor?
There's a mezzanine level, but is that more for back of house, I believe?
Yeah, it's not public.
It's not,
Oh,
yeah, it's
okay,
not public.
okay.
So there's a small mezzanine level, like above, really just kind of around the side and then above the stage to a certain
Okay.
extent, but that's mostly for mechanical and kind of lighting and some storage, right, Ken? It's not occupiable. So it's, in reality, it's one floor, Rebecca.
Okay, and is it all seated or there's open like standing room and seated?
So there's both.
Both,
The
okay.
front. There's two different seating options. One is much more of a standing room only crowd, and that's for 120. That would be 120 people with 27 seats. The seats are kind of all around the bar, and they have kind of like standing seats, kind of like counter type seats along one side of the wall.
Okay.
Think of it like if you were to grab a slice of pizza and go stand at a counter, it's that type of thing. You know, not all of us like to be in the middle of the fray at a concert. Some of us are wallflowers and like to stand in the back, myself
Yeah,
included.
come on.
You know, we're not all looking to be dancing in the middle of everybody. So that's the concept that we did submit the floor plans, Becca. You'll see it. That's the one that has the more standing, and then the other one has 43 seats, and that has some. I'm trying to pull it here. Here it is. That one has like what 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, about 14 like 2-person tables more in front of the stage. I would assume, Ken, that's probably for more of a relaxing, low-key performance that you'd have those tables. I don't know, but there are for one area there are seats in front of the stage, and in the other side of the option concept there is no seats in front of the stage. So that's where the extra seating comes from. When you take those seats away, the occupancy goes up a little bit because you don't have the tables in the way. But either way, again, the maximum capacity even with no tables is 120.
Okay. Small venue.
Yes, intimate. We call it. We're going to use
Intimate,
intimate.
yes,
Yeah,
intimate.
intimate.
Okay, that's all the questions that I have.
Thank you, Becca. When I think of wild dancing, I think of Nick Zazula.
Yeah. Fair
Actually, his
enough.
client doesn't know that about him.
Fair enough. Save me a seat, Ken, in the back. I'll be in the back.
We'll now move to public testimony. Are there any individuals who wish to testify regarding this application, beginning with elected officials or representatives of elected officials?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm with Councilor Bach's office, and we would like to go on record in support of this applicant.
Thank you. And I see that Lisa High is present too. Lisa, were you looking to testify as well?
Hi, members of the board. So Shanice isn't here, but she did reach out to me saying that the community does have support on this. So the mayor's office would like to go on support. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals who wish to testify regarding this matter? Seeing none, the executive director will take this under advisement and will follow up with a written decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.